Hello, comrades. You probably heard before that reading improves your vocabulary and cognition, reduces your risk of dementia, reduces stress, and improves mental health, improves literacy and ability to learn, increases your attention span, could make you a better communicator, and is fun. But Harold Bloom, in the introduction to How to Read and Why, says though that those aren't really the reasons to read. He says that the main reason is to search for wisdom. Quote, information is endlessly available to us. Where shall wisdom be found? He says that someone reading Shakespeare and someone reading the Bible are on the same quest to gain wisdom, prepare for change, and ultimately, the final change, death. He says that reading must be an inherently selfish thing, that it is a thing we do for ourselves and for our own interests. Quote, I am wary of any argument whatsoever that connects the pleasures of solitary reading to the public good. And this is my first objection to Harold Bloom. If you are within the sound of my voice, you are probably living in a democracy, and what you think and what you believe, your experiences, shape who you vote for and who has power. Even if you don't live in a democracy, these things shape your society and what is considered acceptable. Reading matters on a societal level, not only in terms of what ideas you've been exposed to, but there's also evidence that reading improves your empathy. I think for these reasons, reading should be considered a social good and should be promoted within our society. It should be seen as a good thing and not a purely selfish act. My next objection to Harold Bloom comes from something he said in an interview about Harry Potter, that to read Harry Potter isn't really to read because there is nothing there. Now, I must admit something I am embarrassed about, something many of you already know, that I like Harry Potter. It was a part of my childhood, and I enjoyed it. I'm embarrassed not just because the author of the series has become increasingly more vocal about views which I am very contrary to, and I worry that the Harry Potter poster in my background may come to be seen as a tacit endorsement of those views. But I'm also worried because they are bad books. The writing style is not exceptional. There are indeed many cliches. It is a mean-spirited work in which good characters are plump and bad characters are pig-like. A book where the morality of an action depends on its recipient. What is bad when it happens to Ron is good when it happens to Malfoy. When a magical adult mutilates the body of a non-magical child, it's played for laughs because the child is a bully. Harry Potter shows an unjust and cruel world with slavery, literal slavery, and racism between different groups, more of a metaphorical racism I think it's supposed to be, and it takes its ultimate victory to be the rejection of the Death Eaters, who are the stand-ins for Nazis. That is, in the world of Harry Potter, the highest victory is not anything beyond not committing genocide. The characters who fight against any injustice except for the most egregious, the Death Eaters, are made fun of and portrayed as incorrect. But I think that the idea that Harry Potter is bad in this way disproves the idea that there is nothing to read. Harry Potter is not empty. You might not like my interpretation. You might think that Harry Potter is a positive book. He's a Christ-like figure who's saved by the power of love and returns from the dead. But it's still not an empty book. ContraPoints did an entire 3-hour video on Twilight. I have not read Twilight, so I'm not going to comment further on, but I think I've made my point. I think it's wrong to think that wisdom is a thing we find in books. I think it is more helpful to frame it as wisdom is something that we find based on our own considerations of other people's perspectives. It's something we find in ourselves. If you read Harry Potter and you don't like the world it shows, that can teach you something about the kind of world you want to strive for. It's a kind of wisdom. But what about the uncareful reading? Was I really looking for a deeper meaning and searching for wisdom when I was a child reading Harry Potter? Was I really reading anything? And I don't think I was on an explicit search for moral wisdom, but I still think I picked up on some of the more intentional messages within the book. When Malfoy calls Hermione a mudblood, I understood this to be bad, to indicate that judging people based on their family and ancestry is wrong. I understood that despite the fact that the book never suggests that a literally magical world could address poverty, I never thought that the Weasleys were worse people for being poor. And it clearly shows that the rich characters weren't better only for being rich. But I do think there is a danger to careless reading. With Harry Potter, something that supports a rather milquetoast set of positive values, while subtly perhaps reinforcing not so progressive ideals, it can be hard to see the danger of the careless reading. So to illustrate my point, I would like to look at the highest form of modern literature, the adult animated comedy. If you haven't seen Bojack Horseman, well, first of all, what are you doing with your life? I highly recommend it, but I will explain the basic premise. It's about a man. Well, I mean, it's a cartoon, so he's not a man. He's a horse. Horseman. Get it? It's very clever that way. But that's just so you don't pay attention to how awful of a person he is. The show constantly threads the needle between Bojack being the hero and irredeemably evil. He is a character that has both awful moments and wonderful moments, and he is constantly seeking validation that those wonderful moments are his true good self shining through, and that those bad moments are just slip-ups. But he hates himself. He hates himself more than you ever could, and so he also constantly fears that those bad moments are really his true self as well. He can't handle the idea that he is both those awful moments and those wonderful moments. This means for the character to work, he can't be irredeemably evil. The show has to show us that he wants to do better, that he can do better, that sometimes he does do better, and the raw vulnerability that allows us to see his inner struggle is necessary as well. And he can't be a hero, because if he's a hero, it means all those bad things were things a hero could do. Maybe they were good. I mean, the show almost explicitly states that characters like Bojack Horseman kind of glamorize evil and abuse, or at the very least, they normalize it. So we must recognize that he is bad and good. He has both good moments and bad moments. It's a complicated show where nobody is perfect, and they aren't evil or soulless either. They feel like real people, even the animals. But if we do a careless reading, it's too easy to cast some of the characters, like Bojack, aside as evil, or even worse, declare them heroes and accept all of what they do is okay. We see the same thing with Rick and Morty, in which the character Rick is so smart he's almost an all-powerful god. He is capable of doing anything that you can imagine, but he's also miserable and misanthropic. A careless reading makes it easy to conflate his misery and misanthropy with his intelligence. And this is part of a broader romanticization of depression and apathy, where some people view their sadness as a sign that they are better than the happy people who are too stupid to see how bad the world really is. But if you pay attention, you can see that Rick is incredibly insecure. There are beings more powerful than him, and his outlook on life isn't positive or caused by his intelligence. If we do a careful reading and a deep consideration, we can find a wide variety of wisdom from different sources. And this idea that meaning is found in how we read has major implications on the question of what we read. Because he believed that we found wisdom in books by great authors, Harold Bloom thought we should be very concerned with reading the canon, the best books, because they had the most wisdom to offer. But I think because we can find wisdom by considering other perspectives, we should prioritize reading authors with a variety of different experiences and perspectives. Find good stories by people from different countries, religions, political beliefs, ethnicities, gender identities, and time periods. You'll find that many things are different, and that many things are the same. And I think Harold Bloom is right that a book should not be read only because of the identity of the author, but I think he's wrong in assuming there must be an eternal wisdom and truth to everything you read. We read to understand the world and other people, and if you read a variety of perspectives, you will be better at considering other points of view, and the world will be filled with more depth. If you enjoyed this video and would like to talk about Ursula K. Le Guin's novel, The Lathe of Heaven, subscribe so you'll see that video when it comes out, and click over here to watch whatever YouTube thinks you'll enjoy the most. Good night, good day, and good potato.